Hello and welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. I am Ifoma Ojinta, and remember that you can follow this news broadcast live on our website nta.ng/live and all our social media platforms displayed on the screen for updates. And we begin with bilateral matters. Nigeria remains Canada's biggest trading partner in Africa, and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo and the Canadian Deputy Prime Minister had a bilateral meeting in Ottawa to further strengthen this position as well as improve collaborations in education, technology and the creative industry. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
This panel of artwork has features which are familiar to most Africans. The basket dotted with cowries, 2 eagles and 2 women right at the market square. The theme it carries is trade and the sharing of ideas and goods. Nigeria and Canada have come a long way and taken this comfortable walk to improve trade, share ideas, and further deepen the diplomatic ties is the reason for this meeting.
So we had a good conversation. We had a good conversation on how to support, women and youth, because there was a particular minister for women, and we wanted to understand how, to address the care issues. There was another senator who wanted to understand how some of the developing issues and issues in developing countries, how to address other small children. So we talked about how Nigeria is making effort on those aspects. And all in all, it was very exciting for me to see that they too are grappling and wanting to learn, wanting to support, just like we are.
Discussions centered around the areas where we can welcome Canadian businesses, investors into Nigeria, and where we can give more information. The sectors include power. We also made the case for infrastructure, roads, networks, rail. So those are the things that the private sector, we need our infrastructure deficit to close. So we welcome investments and PPPs in that area. Also, we made the strong case that we made the case about our creative sector and our tech sector and their interest in those areas as well. So a lot of collaboration opportunities, and we look forward to getting more concrete with those deliverables.
Our Vice President explained that while countries like Nigeria are ready to actively get engaged in climate change adaptations, we stated the need for gas as a transition fuel, especially for countries like Nigeria, so that it can quicken the pace of industrialization.
One of the indicators of good bilateral relations between two countries is the number of times high-ranking officers exchange visits and deepen diplomatic relations. This is one of such visits which brings satisfaction to the Nigerian government and also to the Canadian government. In Ottawa, Canada, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
The Nigeria Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, NTA, and the NNPC Limited, among other stakeholders in the oil and gas industry, have reiterated commitment to the speedy implementation of provisions contained in the Petroleum Industry Act, which they also agree must be holistic in approach. This was at a multi-stakeholders forum on development of an implementation strategy in Abuja. The details of that report will be brought to you subsequently. Now, 3 years after the discovery of oil in northern Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari flags off a project heralding the first ever oil drilling in northern Kolmani River at the border between Bauchi and Gombe states. The oil field, which is expected to produce 50,000 barrels of crude oil per day, contains gas and processing power and fertilizer plants. The oil field will be developed by Sterling Global Oil New Nigeria Development Commission, NNDC, and NNPC Limited. The NNPC Limited in 2019 announced the discovery of crude oil, gas, and condensate in the Kolmani River. And details of that report will also be brought to you in our subsequent bulletins. President Muhammadu Buhari has transmitted bills seeking to amend the Mutual Legal Assistance in Criminal Matters Act and the Extradition Acts. The presidential letter explained that the amendment of these laws has become imperative so as to conform to global standard. The president also sought the confirmation of Larry Bajabiamila as the Director General of the National Lottery Regulatory Commission for a second and final term.
Recent mutual evaluation by the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa, GABA, deficiencies in Nigeria's anti-money laundering and combating the financing of terrorism regime were observed. Following the evaluation, the Ministry of Justice and the relevant stakeholders reviewed our existing Extradition Act 2004 and the Mutual Legal Assistance in Criminal Matters Act 2018 and found it was not in conformity with Criterion 39 of the Financial Action Task Force on Money Laundering, FATF recommendations. Unless these deficiencies are addressed promptly by the National Assembly, in order to bring our legal regime in conformity with the Financial Action Task Force recommendations, Nigeria will face the risk of a negative public statement blacklisting the country by FATF, and this will lead to some negative consequences to our rapidly growing economy.
And the Senate Committee on Special Duties has invited Minister of Finance and Director General Budget Office for more clarifications on our bilateral agreement concerning social safety net in 2023 budget. This was when Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, Sadia Umar, appeared to defend the ministry's budget. National Assembly correspondent Dayo Gunshola reports.
When the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, Sadia Umar, appeared before the Senate, issues relating to national social investment programs attracted the attention of members, particularly an amount being projected in 2023 fiscal year.
We also want to know what those projects are attached to those laws, so that we could be on the same page with you on behalf of the Nigerian people.
Really give full details of how this amount is going to be utilized, because it's something that was negotiated between the Federal Ministry of Finance and the World Bank.
At another session, the Executive Vice Chairman of the Nigerian Communications Commission informed the Joint National Assembly Committee on Communications that 2023 budget of the agency was prepared to transform Nigeria into a leading digital economy.
The 2023 budget was therefore also prepared in line with the objectives, pillars of the strategic vision plan of the NCC for the years 2021 to 2025 and the strategic management plan of the Commission for the years 2021 to 2024. Usage of block SIM card outside Nigeria. In this regard, the committee urges to direct telecommunication companies to block the loopholes of unregistered SIM cards operating outside the country.
The Regulatory Commission had briefed the Joint Committee that as at September 2022, the revenue projection of the agency had been realized. From the National Assembly, Dayo Ogunshola, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has communicated to the House of Representatives seeking the establishment of the National Social Investment Program. The bill seeks provision of a legal and institutional framework for the establishment of the National Social Investment Program to empower the poor and vulnerable in Nigeria. The request is in line with subsection 58, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. Meanwhile, the House has considered and approved the issuance of promissory notes to the tune of 27.8 billion naira as refunds to Kebbi, Yobe and Taraba states. A federal high court sitting in Abuja has granted the final forfeiture of over 700 million naira and 3 property belonging to former Accountant General of the Federation, Jonah Otunla, located in Abuja. The presiding judge, Justice Okoro, gave the order in Abuja, saying the court is satisfied with the evidence before it. EFCC in its investigation affirmed that the money and property are products of illicit activities of the former Accountant General of the Federation, Jonah Otunla, and Colonel Bello Fadile, aide to former National Security Advisor Colonel Sambo Dasuki. The Commission had on July 28, 2020 secured an interim forfeiture order on the assets and also published the order of the court for the respondent to show cause why the money and property should not be permanently forfeited to the federal government. We now join Adiola in Lagos for more reports on Nationwide. Hello, Adiola. We're sorry about that, having problem connecting to our Lagos Network Center, but we'll get back to them hopefully. Now, moving on, the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to resume the continuous voter registration exercise, CVR, until 90 days before the 2023 general elections, ruling on a suit filed by one Anajat Salmat and 3 others on behalf of eligible voters. Justice Inyang Eko held that continuing with the registration of voters was in line with the Electoral Act 2022 and public interest. The court also ordered INEC to ensure that eligible Nigerians are not deprived of the opportunity to have the voters card for the forthcoming polls. In the meantime, transparent and credible elections have been identified as keys to producing right leaders that will impact positively on the masses and engender the needed development in the society. These were the submissions of key players in a summit on electoral violence and democratic consolidation in Nigeria held in Makurdi, Benue State. Ashazi Gopep reports that the summit was organized by a non-governmental organization in partnership with the Independent National Electoral Commission and the National Orientation Agency.
The meeting is therefore convened to chart a way forward on best method to help prevent electoral violence through enhancing security, trust and electoral integrity.
Every voting vote in political implementation, which will join not for only one person, it is for all of us.
Speakers, in a thought-provoking presentation, stressed the need to address problems of electoral violence, saying it is capable of discouraging citizens from participation in the political process.
Transparent and credible elections will always produce the right people with the right attitudes and thinking, who will always do everything possible to turn around things for the interests of the people and the development of the society.
We will always partner with this organization and other organizations in trying to see that our electoral process are devoid of violence.
We promise that we're going to take home the message to our various communities where we live, so that we will preach the gospel to them and pray that this is going to change the perception of Nigerians.
In Makurdi, Ashazi Gopep, NTA News.
The Campaign Council and Management Committee of People's Democratic Party (PDP) in Benue State have met to strategize for victory in 2023. Charles Abba reports that the Benue State Governor and Chairman of the Campaign Council, Samuel Otong, chaired the meeting at Government House, Makurdi.
Off of the campaign by the People's Democratic Party is coming on the heels of its establishment of the Campaign Council and Management Committee and the subsequent flag-off of the Zone A Senatorial Campaign Organization at Adikpo. The party's council chairman in Benue State, Governor Samuel Otong, explained that it's high time the party hit the ground running with campaigns.
And this is what we have worked hard as a team, and we have won our election. We will continue to work together to ensure that we win our election. All politics is local.
He said that the exercise became necessary as campaigns are beginning to gather momentum nationwide. In Makurdi, Charles Abba, NTA News.
Still talking politics, hierarchy of the Social Democratic Party says the party is committed to reducing the number of out-of-school children in Nigeria to the barest minimum and also make education free at the primary and secondary school levels if elected at the 2023 general elections. This was during their interaction on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria while discussing SDP presidential campaign. Thomas Obetere reports.
Some stalwarts of the Social Democratic Party who were guests on Good Morning Nigeria say the party's presidential candidate Adewale Adebayo will eliminate insecurity and poverty in the country as well as prioritize the war against corruption if elected. They also maintain that the party has resolved all conflicts and disputes ahead of the poll next year, while promising to pay the backlog of whatever government owes the Academic Staff Union of Universities if elected into power in 2023.
Most of our children are young people who are very innovative and they want a leader who can inspire them, a leader who has a good vision, a leader that will provide a roadmap to prosperity. And that is what we find in Prince Adewale.
Essentially, we are driving social justice. If you put the leadership that is just and you start by putting your first fruit of equity, people, you build their confidence. Even from your appointment from day one, you come out and make it to have a national outlook.
SDP, we have it even in our constitution, and we have surpassed what is written in the constitution as far as gender inclusiveness is concerned.
The SDP leaders call on youths against being used as political talks by any political party or candidate in the build-up to the next year election. In Abuja, Thomas Obetere, NTA News.
Let's now go back to our Lagos Network Center, and Adiola is still standing by. Hello, Adiola.
Thank you, Ifoma. Constant improvement of personnel's capacity, especially in a period of heightened insecurity, to be combat ready remains critical to the Nigerian Army. The latest is the introduction of a training exercise known as Exercise Umagafo by the Army College of Logistics. Diana Ajalo reports that over 100 students are currently undergoing the 6-day training at the agility camp.
Exercise Umwagaofo is another training platform by the Nigerian Army College of Logistics designed to test junior officers' leadership qualities, endurance, map reading, command and control capabilities, among other military competencies.
I shall be using page 4 to describe the ground.
Upon arrival at the camp, the General Officer commanding 81 Division, Major General Obina Ajua, led by Commandant Nigerian Army College of Logistics, was conducted around the camp and provided with the required briefing. The GOC, however, described the training as an avenue for participating officers to acquaint themselves with the necessary information that will enable them combat the contemporary security challenges in the country.
Is to actually impact on the participant on operations in the field, administration in the field, including civic activities, rules of engagement, so that at the end of the day, when they are deployed for military operations, they will be able to perform as expected.
We have officers on the course who, by training, have not been prior to now exposed to this kind of training. So this exercise actually to bring them out of the classroom into the field, to put that theory that they've learned in the classroom into practice on the field.
The ongoing exercise involves assessment of effective application of the Nigerian Army Code of Conduct and strict adherence to the rules of engagement in line with international best practices and the philosophy of the Chief of Army Staff on professionalism. The training is expected to strengthen security during the youth period and beyond. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
No fire outbreak occurs without the input of humans. That is according to the Federal Fire Service Lagos during a campaign to encourage Nigerians on the need to be more careful when using anything that has to do with fire wherever they are. Annie Daniels has details.
That sound, of course, is from a fire service truck on its way to attend to a fire outbreak somewhere. Assistant Controller General of Fire, Zone F, Eugene Njoku says most fire outbreaks occur as a result of human error. With this in mind, the zone decided to carry out this fire safety awareness campaign to sensitize Lagosians on how best to minimize the possibility of fire outbreaks in homes, offices, markets, and elsewhere.
Times is passerby or neighbors that will call the fire service. This fire starts small and gradually it grows to a bigger fire. And when you are trying to salvage your property, this fire will not be waiting for you. As you are doing other things, the fire will also be growing.
Njoku also frowns at the attitude of hoodlums who accuse and beat up firefighters for arriving late at scenes of fire outbreaks.
And this vehicle is about 5,000 liters. Depending on the bar pressure that is being applied, the 5,000 liters can get exhausted within 20-30 minutes. And somebody seeing you, maybe somebody that his property is on fire, and he notice when you came that it's not up to 30 minutes, you want to go for refilling. So they will say, no, how come that this water has been exhausted by this time? Maybe you did not come with water.
The message is that people should keep fire under control at the season end afterwards. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
Let's remind you that you can still follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on the screen for update. We shall take a break now, and when we return,
Still watching Nationwide live on the network service of the NTA. Glad to have you join us here in Kaduna. Kaduna State Council of Ulamas has met with governorship candidates in the state to secure their individual commitment on issues affecting the state. Haruna Muhammad reports that 5 governorship candidates presented themselves to the one-day engagement.
The one-day meeting was attended by members of the council from the 23 local government areas in the state. Members articulated their positions and presented to each of the candidates as he intends to address the problems. Top on the catalogue of demand by members of the council are security, education, industrial revolution, peace and stability, as well as health.
You are given the opportunity to serve at the capacity as governor.
Governorship candidates took turn to respond to demands made by the council amidst commitment to address myriad of challenges confronting the state.
We have a 3-point agenda. The first on the agenda is social justice. Second on that agenda is economy. And third on that agenda is human capital development. Of course, to do with unemployment, we need to address it. The issue of insecurity, we need to address it. The issue of women and youth employment, we need to also look into it. Firstly, feel one of the most
important areas of the policy in education in Kaduna State is the issue of policy itself. And that is the policy of commercialization of education, which the Kaduna State government today has done. There is no way anybody can play around with that. We have security as paramount. But in addition to that, inclusive economic and infrastructural development is what we are very concerned about.
The council also offered prayers for peace, stability, and peaceful conduct of the next year's general election. Haruna Muhammad, NTA News.
And in Kano, the federal government has donated milk cooling van and 20 kVA power generator to a Fulani Association, Kano Dairy Cooperative Society, with a view to enhancing the activities of the already established milk collection centers in the state. Our Salisu report that the two milk collection centers, which were established in 2019 by the federal government, has changed the lives of hundreds of women and girls from hawking milk to a more productive ventures. The report.
The two established milk collection centers for Kano Dairy Cooperative Society were the brainchild of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. It is aimed at changing from the traditional milk collection to more advanced and profitable method for job creation and economic development. While presenting the van, milk collection cans and the power generator, the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development represented expressed optimism in achieving food sustainability in the country through various support programs of the federal government.
Pasture floors were established, pigs were given free of charge, artificial insemination were done. So we have a lot of things done for the dairy farmers here in Kano. We see how this support will help in improving the socio-economic development of our community.
In their separate goodwill messages, stakeholders applauded the efforts of federal government for initiating programs and policies that uplift the livelihood of people at the grassroots. In Kano, Awal Salisu, NTA News.
And that is it on our package from here. Ifoma, take it from here.
Thank you, Salamatu. Now, Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has again called on media practitioners and organizations to exercise restraints by towing the path of professionalism and embrace ethics of journalism. The minister made the call at the PMB 2015 to 2023 scorecard series, which featured the Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola. Anthony Forson reports.
The Information and Culture Minister, Lai Mohammed, making the point on the increasing resort to fake news and disinformation by a section of the media, saying it has assumed a threatening proportion as the country approaches the 2023 general elections.
The statement and information constitute an equal because they are capable of
The minister cited a recent report which claimed that INEC was investigating the presidential candidate of the ruling All Progressives Congress, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which turned out to be false. Giving way to the Interior Minister to reel out his ministry's scorecard under President Muhammadu Buhari, Rauf Aregbesola said his ministry and agencies under it have never had it this good.
My job in reading out documents is that progressively the military and the agency the service are committed to ensuring that Nigerian leaders
From the Nigerian Immigration Service to Correctional Center, Federal Fire Service and Civil Defense, when asked what will be the PMB administration's greatest legacy, Adeboshola simply said,
achievement of our
on shortage of passport booklets at immigration offices, the minister explained that that was in the past.
We have more booklets in and those have been impacted. All of our activity and today, we have one bridge.
On securing facilities at correctional centers, the minister also opened up by saying officers and men of the service have been well equipped.
Now, if you are not armed well, you cannot be identified in charge of any of our facilities. Either two, because the threats before an opportunity were from within. So our in charge, those who manage the facilities, do not make weapon handlers. But since you are implementing external attacks, it's not compulsory mandatory for all officers managing our facilities to know how to handle sophisticated, not just ordinary, not just sophisticated weapons. Those things to be safe, whether attempts to attack our facilities. Send them back. We send them. Send them back to their sender. Then we know his rights are on them.
The Minister of Interior's outing brings to record 4th edition in the PME 2015-2023 scorecard series. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News. 6 persons kidnapped on the 18th of November 2022 along Akampa axis of Calabar-Ikom Highway have been rescued by the police tactical operation team on Tuesday 22nd of November 2022 at about 2 o'clock in the morning. Among those rescued are 2 doctors who were among the kidnapped persons, as confirmed by the chairman, Cross River State Chapter of the Nigerian Medical Association NTA, Dr. Phyllis Achibong, in a phone conversation. He says the doctors rescued told him no ransom was paid. The NMA chairman commends the government and security agencies for swift response in rescuing the victims. Now, Chinaya in Enugu will give us details of the meeting of the APC Southeast coordinators for Tinubu's support group in Enugu and other reports. Chinaya.
Much, Ifoma. Welcome to Enugu. Some party stalwarts of the All Progressives Congress APC, as well as coordinators of various support groups in the Southeast, have promised to step up their game to ensure APC wins all the seats across board in the 2023 general elections. Chimaroke Ubu reports that this was part of the resolutions reached at a town hall meeting by the party's support group, which held in Enugu.
We are sorry about the loss of audio from our Enugu Network Center. The Tertiary Education Fund is re-strategizing to meet the goals of paradigm shifts it adopted yet to make positive impact. This was at a meeting with heads of benefiting tertiary institutions with the fund in Abuja. Apart from intervention in the area of academic engagement, physical infrastructure and research, the fund added more impetus to research now and development, which it hopes to leverage in making the nation a knowledge-driven economy.
One obvious area of concern to TED Fund is the research intervention line. From available data, the nation is yet to benefit significantly from the desired impact of this intervention line. We shall therefore be considering new pathways to achieving greater impact on our various R&D interventions. Other areas of cooperation will be promoting innovation, entrepreneurship, and employability of graduates of Nigerian tertiary institutions.
Over 200 vice-chancellors, provosts and rectors of public universities, polytechnics and colleges of education are attending the meeting. In the aftermath of the fatal auto crash that occurred during the early hours of Tuesday, 22nd November along the Kwali-Abaji Expressway, where 17 out of 22 males died, the acting Corps Marshal, Federal Road Safety Corps, Dauda Alibio, is cautioning drivers against violating prescribed speed limits and embarking on night trips. The acting Corps Marshal asks drivers to always observe rest period of 30 minutes after every 4-hour drive, describing the crash involving a trailer and a Toyota bus as avoidable. He notes that this was part of the reason that necessitated federal government's directive on sensitization and enforcement of compulsory installation of speed limiting device. Mr. Bu advises the public to always patronize the FRSC toll-free line 122 and the National Traffic Radio 107.1 FM to report emergencies. Other 4 surviving occupants rescued by the Corps Emergency Rescue Team have been taken to Abuja General Hospital. Remains of the dead victims deposited at the mortuary, while 1 male occupant was, however, rescued without any injury. As part of activities commemorating 2022 International Day for the Remembrance of Accident Victims, the Federal Road Safety Corps Officers' Wives Association has identified with accident victims at the Wuse District Hospital. The association says identifying with victims of auto crash remains a routine practice with high momentum in this period. The association donated materials to victims and prayed for their speedy recovery while urging motoring public to ensure safety while on the road.
I want to appreciate the hospital management for their support for the accident victims. We are here on behalf of the FOA, Road Safety Officers' Wives Association and other stakeholders. We are here to support the accident victims and pray for them for their quick recovery.
Men of Federal Road Safety Corps, men of Nigerian Police, men of VIO, men of Emergency Medical Services. So that is part of this dual celebration, remembering the victims that have been killed or injured, and then celebrating the people who rescued them and make sure the roads are safe. So that.
The management of the hospital says the intervention will go a long way in assuaging the sufferings of the victims and their families. Meanwhile, the Federal Road Safety Corps Akwa Ibom State Command says it is prepared to ensure free traffic flow and safety of travelers during and after festivities. Joy Ubani has details.
Safety Corps Akwa Ibom State Command in October 2022 flag off Ember Month's campaign with the theme Drive Safe, Stay Safe to minimize road crashes. Hence, as the last Ember Month December draws closer, ushering in the Yuletide, Wide, the Sector Commander Matthew Olonishaye reiterates Federal Safety Corps commitment to save lives and maintain road discipline amongst commuters.
And if you not drive against the traffic, which is very common here, especially within Uyo metropolis, people should desist from this very dangerous, and they should also desist from distracted driving. They should not be using phone while driving, and even eating while no motion.
He also appeals to Nigerian citizens to put their vehicles in good shape to avert road crashes, especially during the season.
Driving is a very serious business and which requires full concentrations. We expect drivers not to go against the rules and regulations guiding the usage of the road.
Despite the hustling and bustling that come with festivities, Road Safety Authorities emphasizes that it is pertinent for all road users to take precaution and obey traffic rules. In Uyo, Joy Ubani, NTA News.
We now pause to take more messages. Nationwide continues in a moment. Just stay. Many thanks for staying tuned. Now, the Nigerian Television Authority has received executive management of the Federal Capital Development Authority, where both discussed existing relationships and ways of fostering more collaborations for the benefit of Nigerians. Abdul Malik Hassan reports.
A meeting between like minds. More of an engagement between the landlord and the tenant. Here the Federal Capital Development Authority is extending hands of friendship.
We indeed are happy to receive the news of your confirmation as the Director General of the NTA.
They had time to speak on some key issues topping their agenda.
I want to also give you some glad tidings that we are almost done and resolved with the issue of improving the circulation within the headquarters and other adjoining development, which we have been relating with the NTA properties. And I think it won't be long when we have made a deliberate choice of the contractor to handle that. It will be Mrs. Julius Vega, who are handling these DPR projects. They will do this circulation, and then we are just at the verge of tidying about the other alternative linkage Ahmadu Bello into this.
The DG NTA recounts the relocation of the NTA to Abuja and the role of the FCDA, promises unflinching support to the FCDA using its wide reach network.
We are there for you. Just like I have said the other time we visited you, there are a huge opportunity for you to leverage on the authority, and I can assure you that we are going to give you that for free.
Shortly after, Elizade Nigeria Limited was on ground to discuss how NTA can leverage on its services in maintaining and purchase of its automobile.
We can give NTA a good package service plan. So it's better when you are doing that, you have first of mind.
If you would still like to revisit the issue of battle with us, and I think you have so much to do with the media, and we can be of great benefit to your company.
At the end, a consensus was reached. Abdul Malik Hassan, NTA News.
Preparations are on top gear for the successful hosting of the 2022 NTA FRCN and VON Carol of Nine lessons. Elizabeth Mori reports that this year's theme, which is Fear Not, is deliberate as the nation grapples with security challenges and other social ills. Divine intervention is key to surmounting them. Director General Voice of Nigeria, Osita Okechukwu, who chaired the meeting, spoke on the essence of the thing.
We are reminding Nigerians that in spite of all the tribulations, all the challenges, that they should not fear, because Almighty God is still behind the country and will continue to be behind us. For the growth of the country, our Lord requires prayers. For the prosperity, our Lord requires prayers. Yes, there are challenges, we agree. So there are challenges confronting us as a nation. But in spite of all those challenges, we have to thank Almighty God for keeping Nigeria united.
Members of the committee, however, urged Nigerians not to lose faith in God and support government's effort in winning the war against insurgency. This year's edition of the NTA, FRCN and Voice of Nigeria Carol of 9 Lessons is billed for the 4th of December 2022. Asia to the world through cultural interaction is a